Hey everybody, it's Brandon. Hope you guys are having a great week. I wanted to show you a few new things in the platform. And the first things I wanted to show you are some new customer or patient nurturing processes, and to show you the ChatGPT AI bot. So you can watch this and let me know if you want me to push all this over into your account, and I can. You just reply and let me know, and we'll make it active in the system. All new accounts are getting this by default, but since you guys have been with us and we are just pushing this out, just let me know if you want access to it. So first thing I want to show you is this new functionality and automations. So these are a series of workflows that we've now loaded in the platform to enable you to really thoroughly nurture a patient from the time they become a lead through the time they become a paying patient. So what you'll see is when you click on this first one, you'll see the first thing this does. Now this functions just as the other workflows do. It's just something pre-built. So here, this is saying the trigger is when somebody opts in. Now it could be any form on any funnel that you have, anything that exists. You just pick the form that you want. So in this case, we're just using a general opt-in form. That could be a contact form on your site, whatever you want. You just have to set that trigger. Then this will tag them or set them up as qualified to get a bot response, but I'll show you that in a minute. This assigns it to a specific user, and then it notifies you that somebody filled in your opt-in form. Maybe they requested a consult, whatever it might be. And it creates an opportunity, puts it in a pipeline for you. So it puts them in your lead pipeline, or whatever pipeline you're managing. You can set that up yourself. This actually then looks and makes sure that it's a real person, not somebody just like filling out fake information. And then it waits 30 minutes and then adds them into a workflow that will automatically call them. So let's say that you have a form on your site that says, "Hey, fill out this form to learn more about our practice and get this free guide." And then they submit it, they get their guide, and then this would actually automatically start calling them. And I'll show you where that workflow exists. And then it's going to text them, say, "Hey, saw you just requested this. We'll be reaching out to you shortly." And then it goes through this whole process. And I'll show you this workflow in a minute. But it goes through this whole process where it's going to text them. It's going to wait 7 hours and continue to text them, go on and on and on and on through this process for, I believe it's about a month that this will continue to text them. Actually, I think it's 2 months. It's just going to go on and on and on and on until you realize that they have no interest, that they're not going to sign up with you. But what else takes place here is this is the workflow then that they get enrolled in for the calls. This is going to automatically call them. It's going to call them. It's going to call them again. It's going to call them again. And you'll see what happens is it calls. If you, obviously the way the system works, you answer first. And then if you're available, you can press the key to connect, and then it will connect you with the patient. It'll call them. It just goes through this process, calls them about 5 times over like a 1 week period. And then what happens is if they book an appointment, so maybe you have multiple calls, or maybe it's not just a phone call that they're booking, it's an appointment in your clinic, however it is, that can be customized. Let's say they book that first call. Well, this is going to say, appointment status is booked, like if it was on a calendar or a phone call, that they're having a consult with you on the phone. This would mean that you booked that call in your calendar in our platform. Or you can set up a different trigger that says, contact tagged as customer. Or maybe you are managing them in your pipeline, and you could say pipeline stage changed, in pipeline, lead pipeline, pipeline stage changed to, signed closed or became a patient, whatever it is. Whatever you want your trigger to be that indicates that person has booked a call with you, you would just make that your trigger. It removes them from all of those other workflows, so they're not going to keep getting texts and phone calls. It's going to move them in your sales pipeline. It's going to notify you, notify them about the upcoming call or upcoming appointment. And then what's cool is after the appointment, whenever it is, it will update, this is going to send a message, an email to whoever had that appointment. It's going to send a link to a form that allows you to choose whether or not they showed up for the appointment, and it will update that appointment status. So, and you can play around with this. There's a lot. Obviously, this video would go on forever if I went through each aspect of it. But the concept here is, let's say that you're texting back and forth with someone and they're like, I'm not ready yet. Can you follow up with me in 6 months? Well, what's cool about that is we built a calendar called Follow Up. So look here in calendars. Here's your Follow Up Later calendar. So let's say that you're texting with someone, right? So here is a default text conversation. Let's say I'm texting and this is the patient. They're like, yeah, I need to follow up with me in a year. I can click book appointment. What calendar? Oh, I'm going to choose the follow-up calendar. And when? Well, they want July of 2024. I'm going to follow up with them in a year. Let's call this follow up with whatever, Brandon. Hit book. And what that's going to do is it books the appointment. So what happens next in the automations? Well, what you'll see here is in your follow up later, this says, in this event, in the follow up later calendar, when an appointment gets confirmed, what happens? Removes them from all the other workflows so that you're not pestering them, goes through this process, and it's going to wait accordingly until I follow up with them. So you'll see where I just filled that out. I've said to follow up in a year. But the way this works is, let's say they want to follow up to 5 years. So what this is going to say is, oh, it's going to wait for 5 years. And it says, if the timing of this step is already in the past, how should the contact proceed? See, this is looking at waiting for the event, the appointment time. So, well, it's not going to wait that long because the appointment time is already it would already have been in the past. So it's going to go all the way down until it finds the right date. And it's going to wait. It's going to wait 185 days. And wait 185 days, and it's going to wait for the appointment step, and then it's going to go 6-month reminder. So 6 months out. Automatically say, hey, you asked me to reach out to you in X amount of time, simply letting you know you can reach me here. Or 3-month reminder. You asked me to reach you in 3 months. I think you get the message here of how that would work. And you could build as many increments into this as you want. And here, because I chose 364 days, it put me in the 6-month category. I should have picked the year. So this goes through this whole process, and it's going to wait until you get close. This is even, you asked me to follow up with you in a week. And it's automatically sending them an email, which is cool, right? So then after this says follow up within a week, let you know you can reach me here. You can offer them an incentive to come back in. And then here, this will automatically enroll them back into that workflow where you're reaching out to them, thanking them for getting in touch with you. So if that may sound a little bit complex, but the concept here is that if they reply to that, it's going to create an opportunity for them, and then you can reply to them directly. So then the next thing here, this actually will allow you to, there's so many other things that this can do. It's worth just browsing and seeing how they all work. But here we have a review gathering process, including multiple locations. So if you have multiple locations, I can set up a separate account for you, and then you can actually manage reviews for multiple locations. What this is going to do is, even if you don't have multiple locations, let's say that every time you have somebody become a patient, you want to send them you want to send them a review request. Well, then you can tag them as ask for review, and then it will automatically start this series asking them for a review. And it's going to start out by asking them for a number, like what your experience has been, good or bad, or 1 being poor, 5 being great. If they give you a poor response, like 1 or 2 or 3, this is actually going to send them a link to a negative review form, which is in your trigger links here. I put that in for you. And they can fill out the form. So instead of having them leave you a negative Google review, they'll actually fill out a form with the negative feedback. If they give you a positive response, then it's actually going to give you, it's going to send them a follow-up series of steps asking them to give you an actual Google review. Let's go back into that. There we go. So what this is going to do, it's going to say, did they give you a 4-star response, 5-star response? It's going to ask, in this case, which location is this for? Meaning if you have multiple locations, and the way that we're managing that, I'll show you. But let's just say you don't, then it's automatically going to go through this, this main channel. It's going to send them a text. It's going to include your review link. And it's going to remind them to send that review. And it gives you an automatic way to follow up with people. So there's a lot of other things in here that you can browse and see how it works. So if you want this new system, let me know and we can push it into your account. Let me show you what I mean by creating a new, if you have multiple locations, and we can work on helping you get this set up. So you just tell us, we'll create a sub account for you so that you have an alternative location. That way, when you click on this, you'll be able to choose whatever location you want to log into. So let's say I just clicked and this is my new location. What you would do is you would come into settings and you would go to integrations and add a new Google account. Well, you connect your Google account for your other location. Once you do that, you can actually come into your reputation tab, into settings, generate a link. This would be your link for your Google reviews for your other location. Copy that link and then go back into your main account. So say I select here and I go back into my main account. Then here in marketing, in trigger links, I installed a trigger link for Google review link location A. You would just change this to whatever the name of your other location is and paste that link there. And then if you have a third location, do the same exact process. But this Google review link, you would actually just, it's your real one. You would paste this for your main location. So then you would have links to all of the different Google My Business reviews. And so let's say you then want to categorize all of your patients. Maybe you have some patients that are being seen at a different location. You could tag them as location A or whatever you want to call that tag, and then tag them as ask for review when they've become a patient, and it will go through that process and it will filter to know whether or not what location you're asking for a review from. So we can help you set up that multiple review request system if you'd like. We can also add in the functionality for you to have this whole new workflow. So if you want it, let me know. The next video is going to be about the AI bot, which you can also let me know if you want.